Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Tillerman here, and we're back in Pokemon Pocket, opening the newest set, Wisdom of Sea and Sky, that just came out today. I've already done my pack openings for the day. I think I did about 6-10 packs, but I pulled a few good cards, and I wanted to show off a few decks in the game. So without further ado, let's get started.
Alright guys, so the first deck I have today is the Crobat Umbreon with a Darkrai and a Nihilego, with also Sylveon. I feel like this deck could be kind of inconsistent, but I'm trying it out for the first day, so we're going to see what happens. I start with a Zubat and an Eevee, and I'm playing against someone using Water Deck. They bring out their own Eevee, and my hand isn't looking too stellar. We draw a Darkrai EX for our turn. These day 1 deck builds probably won't be the best, but we'll see what happens. So I red card them turn 1, just because I feel like I can, and I use my silver just to see if we can pull off any shenanigans. They have a Cyrus, so now we make their hand down to just 2 cards. Then we end our turn. Now this deck that I have built, it features both Sylveon and Umbreon, just in case you can't get one of them online. And the main focus is the Crobat with the Darkrai or the Nihilego, whatever one you need for the matchup. Usually Nihilego is saved for Oricorio matches. My opponent draws an extra card for their turn because they're running the old Eevee, and I draw a Zubat on my turn. And I can do 10 plus poison to my opponent's active Pokemon, bringing them down to 40 for their turn. So my opponent evolves their Bench Froakie to Frogadier, likely meaning this is a Greninja Sylveon deck. Not quite sure yet though. My opponent's taking a long time to make their move. They attach their energy to their Bench Eevee instead, and use Collect to draw another card. Now, one of the downsides to this Crobat deck is that if you don't get Crobat, you're probably going to lose. But we evolve our Bench Eevee into Sylveon EX and collect 2 extra cards. Cards we collect are Rare Candy and a Pokeball. Not the best we could have gotten there, but I'll take it. Another Eevee for our bench. We attach energy to our Darkrai, bringing the Eevee down to 10 HP so we can take it out with our Zubat, putting us up 1-0 in this game. My opponent sends out their benched Eevee, so they might have the evolution here. They have the evolution for the Frogadier, putting it into a Greninja, and the evolution for their Eevee, which reveals that they are playing Glaceon and Greninja. Not anything really meta, but it can still be a force to be reckoned with. They have 2 energies on the Glaceon, so next turn they'll be able to hit for 90 damage. They use their Greninja to hit my Darkrai for 20 HP, which means they might Cyrus it. Yep, they're going to Cyrus my Darkrai up to the front, so I have not as many options as before. I can't really poison the Glaceon unless I have to retreat. Their ability does 10 damage to me, and I draw a Nihilego, which is not going to be helpful in this. But we attach energy to Darkrai to do 20 damage for this turn. I retreat my Darkrai into Eevee so that I can save my Darkrai for later, although it still does take 10 damage from the Glaceon's ability. My opponent attaches their energy to their Glaceon, meaning they will be attacking for 90 this turn. They use their Greninja to deal 20 damage to my Darkrai, and then they draw another Cyrus, even though I did silver one away at the start of the game. But they use Cyrus to bring Darkrai back into the front and take it out. Now my opponent is up 2-1. Well, I send back in my Zubat, and I do take 10 damage from Glaceon's ability. I really need a Crobat here, or else I will lose. I used for my Professor's Research, and luckily get Crobat EX. This allows me to Rare Candy Crobat, and Crobat, what it does is 70 damage and poison for 1 energy. I can put Nihilego on the bench to make sure that my Zubat does extra poison damage as well. Now I attack with my Crobat doing 70 and poisoning my opponent. This puts them down into low HP, but their ability does 10 damage to my Crobat as well. My opponent attaches their energy to their Greninja, likely having that set up in case something goes wrong. And they put down a Froakie onto their bench. A Water Shuriken, my Crobat, dealing a little extra damage to it. And they do 90 more to my Crobat, but it's not going to be enough damage, and we're going to be able to take out the Glaceon and win the game. My opponent concedes before I can take them out, but that is a win for the Crobat, Umbreon, and Darkrai deck. The next deck that I'm going to show off is going to be another Crobat variant, this time without the Umbreon and using Dark Pendant. Now the only real differences here are that I'm using a Dark Pendant and a Cyrus. I also have Lillian here just because it's a little bit better for healing. We start out with a Zubat and another Eevee again, and our opponent is playing an Eevee deck starting with a Water Energy, meaning they're probably playing some sort of Greninja deck. They start out with an Eevee, and they're going to Pokeball to start their turn. Now my hand is looking not the greatest to start out, because they already have an Eevee and a Froakie and a Giratina on their active. So they pretty much have most everything they want. All I need is a few extra cards, whereas I am looking a little bit behind. We draw Silver for our turn, and I think it would be better to actually get some development, so I use my Professor's Research. This gives me a red card and a Lily, so pretty much nothing useful. I put an energy on my Zubat, and I think I'll probably just attach. No, I think I'll just use Zubat's attack to do 10 and poison. Okay, so my opponent uses a red card on my hand, probably helping me out in the long run since I don't have anything, but of course I don't get anything I need back. Now I like this deck more than the Umbreon deck in particular because it relies more on the Crobat rather than having all of the Umbreon, Darkrai, and Crobat stuff. But my opponent just attaches another energy to their Giratina and takes more poison damage with their Eevee. I do draw a Rare Candy on my turn, which could be good if I can get a Crobat. But we use our Pokeball to get a second Zubat in case our first one goes down. And we attach Darkrai to the bench so we can take out this Eevee on the turn. I'll attach my Zubat to the bench just in case they can take out my Zubat. But we're going to take out their Eevee with our Zubat to put us in the lead 1-0. They send out their Giratina on their turn, looking a bit scary, having the 2 energies on it, so next turn it will be able to attack, and they have the Rare Candy to evolve into Greninja. Now, if I can get Crobat, I probably can win this game, but that's a tough thing, or that's a hard thing to ask when I can't seem to find it. I used Dark Energy ability on my Darkrai, setting up for a Cyrus takedown with Giratina next turn. I draw a Sylveon EX on my turn, which is one of the better draws I can have, allowing me to draw 2 extra cards. Let's see if the Sylveon is good. We get a Nihilego and we get the Crobat that we need. So we Rare Candy our Zubat up front, and we're going to be able to do major damage to the Giratina because of weakness and Darkrai attack. Darkrai brings it down to 130, and Zubat will take it down to 40 HP and poison it, so that it will be taken out on the next turn if they don't heal it or switch it out. And just like that, my opponent concedes. All you need is Crobat and your opponent will concede. Here we are in our third battle, and this time I'll be using a Lantern EX deck. Now, the thing with Lantern EX is, I think it could be really good, but I'm just not sure how to build it quite yet. I did not pull a Pichu, so that's why I'm running a Pachirisu. But starting in this deck, I will be starting with an Oricorio. My opponent is also playing the Electric deck, but they are using Pichu. Now I have Electric Cord in this deck, just so I can make sure I have energy for Galvantula and Lantern. My opponent is playing a Lugia deck, and gets a free energy on turn 1 because of Babies. Now I draw Professor's Research, so we'll be able to Pokeball and Professor's Research for some good items and cards. We get a Chenchou for our Lantern, so that's great. And Professor Oak can get us another Lantern and the Professor's Research, so that was pretty much a wash. We'll red card them just to make sure they don't really have anything in their hand. And if we can get this Oricorio set up, we'll be able to win the game. Also, looks like we're playing against Tilly TCG, a known pocket YouTuber here. So let's see what they will do. Another Lugia on the bench. And I'll send it in. I think I'll just evolve my Lantern next and then probably hit the Lugia for 50 because it doesn't look like they have anything to hit Oricorio in this deck. We'll get a Joltik on the bench as well, and probably another Lantern. We'll hit the Lugia for 50, bringing it down to 800. Actually, 80 HP for the weakness. They attach a Giant Cape. And attach bench Lugia, and then pass their turn. I think I'll just attach to my Lantern EX here, just in case I need to switch out. And we'll Electric Cord the Oricorio in case he has something to take down. We'll hit the Lugia for another 50. We'll bring it down to 1 hit range. And they conceded. They must not have anything to hit Oricorio. So we'll win that game against Tilly TCG. Now, our next deck up here is the Togekiss deck. Now, before filming this one, I didn't know that Will did not work with Togekiss, so that's why it's in this deck, but I still think Togekiss could work well. We get to start with an Eevee. This deck runs with Sylveon, so we can just get to our Togekiss as fast as possible. The only real problem with this deck is getting the energy to get to a Togekiss. My opponent is playing a dark deck, so it could be Umbreon. I suppose it could be Umbreon. attach a Dark Pendant prematurely. So that means they're for sure playing with Umbreon. And they also have Nihilego in this deck. So this could be a Crobat Umbreon deck. And they also attach another Eevee to their bench. They're going through their deck pretty fast with all these Pokeballs and resources. But I get a second Eevee from the bench that I can attach to my Eevee in the fight to gain it and hit another Pokemon. And we get our Pokemon. They get even more cards with their Professor's Research, and they're going to attack to their Eevee. My opponent's Sylveon EX uses the ability to draw 2 more cards, and then they attach a Poison Barb to their Sylveon EX, and probably to their Eevee, to their Eevee as well. And then they also evolve the Umbreon EX into active. Now they'll be able to attack next turn, and they've also went through most of their deck at this point. They have like 5 cards left. But I get a Togepi, so now I have both of them on the bench, and I'll be able to evolve them into Togekiss next turn, and then evolve my Eevee into Sylveon EX so that I can draw 2 more cards. The cards it gives me back gives me a Giant Cape and a Sylveon EX, so we can evolve again for 2 more cards. A Professor's Oak and a Togekiss are okay. We'll be able to draw more with the Professor Oak. So now we're going through our deck quite fast. We get a Cynthia and a Will. Now the Cynthia will be very helpful in this game if I need it for my Togekiss, but we'll attack the Umbreon for 70 HP, and unfortunately we will also have to deal with the Dark Pendant. It takes away our Giant Cape, which is unfortunate, but it's manageable. Now our opponent here has to either heal or switch their Umbreon, or else it's going to get taken out. They attach an energy to it, so that means they're probably attacking with it or switching out. And they'll attack for 80 on my Sylveon, bringing it down to 60. But we will be able to take it out this turn with Sylveon. I probably should have kept the Pokeball in my hand at this point, just in case they had Umbreon again. Or Silver or whatever. But we evolve into Togekiss on the bench, and we'll start ramping it up with energies. But then we can use Sylveon EX's attack to take out the Umbreon, giving us a lead of 2-0. They send in their Sylveon EX with the Poison Barb on it, just to probably stall my Sylveon. And then they evolve their Eevee on the bench to the Umbreon EX, so now they have an out, and then they also put down a Darkrai EX on the bench, so that they can deal damage to me out in front when they attach an energy. This brings me down to 40 HP, so they will be able to take me out, next turn. We keep ramping up our Togekiss, and then we'll attack for 70, which means we will get poisoned, but Sylveon will be put into one-shot range. Their Nihilego puts us down to 20 HP, so Darkrai could take us out here, but if they do that, they will lose to Togekiss. Unless they have a way to switch out. They use their energy on Darkrai to take out our Sylveon, tying up the game 2-2. Then we bring out our Togekiss so that we can take out the Sylveon next turn. Our opponent uses Dawn so that they can actually switch out their Sylveon into another Pokemon on their bench. What they will switch into, I'm not quite sure. Probably Umbreon, I would think. Yep, they bring in their Umbreon EX so that they can tank more, and they still have the Poison Barb on as well. But the problem for them is that I have Cyrus in hand. So I'll attach energy to my Togekiss, and then I will Cyrus the Sylveon to the active so I can take it out and win this game. We'll win this game with the Togekiss deck, but I will probably have to take out the Wills just because they don't actually work in this deck. Next up is probably the weakest deck that I have today, and that's going to be the Aerodactyl and Will deck. We are going to start with an Eevee because Sylveon will help us draw to get to our Aerodactyls. And it looks like we'll be playing up against Buzzwole. Now, we have a way better starting hand than they do, but they also have a Pokeball. They will attach a Kartana to their bench, and then they will pass their turn to me, where I can use my Pokeball and the rest of my cards. But we have an interesting starting hand because we don't have Aerodactyl yet. But we'll be able to find another Pokemon using our Eevee, although I feel like the other Eevee might be better in this deck. We'll just have to see. The only thing with this Eevee is that it will pretty much guarantee you a Sylveon or another Eevee, because you can't get the old Amber, you just have to draw it. But they'll move into Kartana, dealing 40 damage to my Eevee who wants to use it. I draw a Pokeball on my turn so that I can use it, but there will be nothing I can get because I already have both my Eevees. And I will evolve the Sylveon and use the ability to get 2 more cards. We still don't have Old Amber yet, so we're still searching for that. We will red card them because they have 5 cards, so we'll take away 2. And we'll put a Rescue Scarf on Sylveon just in case we don't find the other one. And then we will use Professor's Research so I can get more cards, and finally we have an Old Amber in our hand. We'll place that on the bench, and we'll place an energy on Sylveon to take out the Kartana. This will put us in the lead 1-0. They have to send in their Celesteela, which is not great for them. They're going to bring a Buzzwole EX onto their bench, and then they're going to draw 2 cards with their Professor's Research. And then also red card me, which is very unfortunate because now I'm going to have to search for my Aerodactyl again. And I do not pull it off the red card, so we're going to have some problems finding that. But they will also attach an energy and a leafy cape to their Buzzwole, getting ready to set that up and bring it in next turn. I do pull my Aerodactyl on the next turn, thankfully, and I can start setting that up on the bench. I'm going to Guzma away their leafy cape just because I feel like it. I then will attack with my Sylveon for 70 damage, so if I need to, I can bring it in later. They're going to switch out their Celesteela for their Buzzwole EX. And then they will attack for 30 damage. I draw Professor's Research on my turn, so I could draw some more cards. But I do switch my Aerodactyl out, and I will be using Will to guarantee a heads on their Buzzwole, being able to bring it back into their hand. From a Wing Beat with Will is a guaranteed that it will be heads, and that means that their Buzzwole is going to go back into their deck and lose all of its energy. Now they're forced to go into Celesteela here, And if they don't have any more bench Pokemon, they will most likely lose this. They have another Buzzwole EX and they set that on the bench as well. Now instead of trying to play for the win here, I think I'm going to try to get as much content as possible with the Aerodactyl. My opponent will switch out their Celesteela again to bring in their Buzzwole. And then I get another Sylveon so I can draw 2 more cards. I get another Rescue Scarf and a Silver, so not the greatest of cards. I will Silver to see what their hand is, and it looks like they have a lot of supporters, so we'll take away a Lusamine, just in case they want to get more energy. I do not have Will yet, so I will have to take a blind shot on the Primal Wingbeat, a 50-50. And we flip heads, being able to take their Buzzwole back into their deck. My opponent sends out another Celesteela. They're just trying to stack up their bench to hopefully win the war of attrition against this Aerodactyl. They'll attach an energy to it as I get another Aerodactyl. Now I don't see a point in Serenaing, so I think I will just use my Professor's Research here. I acquire another Oldamber and my other Will, so we will be able to hit heads on the next turn. We will Primal Wingbeat, hoping for another heads. And we will get another heads, bringing their Celesteela back into their deck as well. Now all they have left is their Celesteela once again. They'll attach an energy to it, and they don't have anything else they can do on their turn. So we will be able to use Will and Aerodactyl to take out the Celesteela. And our opponent concedes before we can do it to them. So that is another win, and that deck didn't feel that great to use, but it was funny. Next up we have another Dark deck, being the Umbreon Dark Tina deck. Now I've seen this deck surfacing on the internet a little bit. I made a little bit of adjustments to it, so we'll see how it goes. We start with an Eevee and a Darkrai, and looks like we'll be playing up against something with poison, probably Crobat. We draw a Giratina on our turn, which is probably the best draw we could have had. And we will place the Giratina on the bench so we can get some free energy on our turn. We will Silver instead of Professor's Oak, just in case. We will use Giratina's ability to gain an energy for the turn. Our opponent has a Pokeball so that they can get an extra Pokemon on the bench. Looks like they're playing a Zubat deck, or Crobat deck, and they'll attach energy to their Nihilego. But we will use a Professor's Research to gain a few cards, and we get an Umbreon, so we will be able to attach that to our Eevee out front in the next turn. And we will red card them just in case they have the Crobat in their hand. And we'll Giant Cape up front just so we can hopefully survive the Nihilego attack. And then we'll use Giratina's ability to gain another energy. They are going to use a Professor's Research. No idea what they're going to have, but they have a loaded hand more than likely. A Dark Pendant onto their Nihilego, and a Dark Pendant onto their Zubat. They are going to attach an energy to their Nihilego and attack me with their attack. That will bring me low, but not quite take me out because of the giant cape. We draw a red, which is not going to help too much until they are a Crobat. We will evolve into Umbreon to cure the poison, and so that we can take out the Nihilego with our attack. We attack the Nihilego and we'll be able to take it out and put us up in the lead 1-0. Our red does get Dark Pendanted, so we don't have that anymore, but I'm sure we'll draw it again. They bring out their Zubat, and we'll see if they have the Crobat in their hand. They're going to Professor's Research, giving them an even higher chance of having it. And they will set down another Nihilego, so they will be able to have that effect again, and they also set down another Zubat, so they're going to start loading up on cards. They're going to use Bite with their Zubat, just doing 20 damage, so nothing crazy. We draw an X-Speed, which also doesn't help too much, and we will attach a Dark Energy to our Giratina, and then attack with Umbreon and taking out the Zubat, which will also mean that we are up 2-0. We also lose our X-Speed to the Dark Pendant, which sucks, but should be manageable. They send out their Zubat once again. Hopefully they don't have their Crobat, or else we might be in trouble. They do not have their Crobat, so they lose the game, but they concede before that, so we win. The final deck for this video is going to be probably one of my favorite funny decks that I made. It is this Magcargo deck that also runs Cleffa, just so you can get your Magcargo and Slugma. Now, I don't think this deck is anything crazy, but it's very funny against your opponents if you can hit them. So we did draw a few good cards to start the game. It's always important to use the right supporter at the right time. We will use Professor's Research. Hopefully we can get a Slugma. We can, which is perfect. And then we'll use Cleffa's attack, Twinkly Call, to grab another Pokemon. Hopefully it's Magcargo. Alright, we got Magcargo and Slugma. Now we just need 2 turns and we will be able to win the game. Our opponent looks to be playing a Zubat deck with Eevee or Umbreon in their deck. And they will just attack with our Eevee because that's probably all they can do. We draw a Potion, which is not going to be the most help, and we will attach an Energy to our Slugma and evolve it as well. We will also Silver, just to see what they have in their hand. Looks like they have a lot of cards to get a Crobat, so we will take out the Sabrina, and hopefully we won't get... we will red card, we do have a red card, and we will be able to switch up their hand, so now they're less close to Crobat. We'll Twinkly Call again, just to get another deck, or another card out of our deck. Now on our opponent's turn, they will use a Professor's Research, being able to draw 2 cards. So already the red card doesn't look like it was the best of plays. But they don't have much again, so they're going to have to attack with their Eevee. Now the fun thing that you can do with Cleffa is that it has no retreat cost, so we can bring in Magcargo. Now we have a very good chance of just winning the game on the spot here. So we will attach an energy to our Magcargo and switch out our Cleffa. Now if everything goes correctly, we should be able to win the game here. And Magcargo does deal damage only to our opponents in the correct fashion, letting us win the game on the spot. Now that was content. Alright, thank you all for watching these decks. These are just some of the builds that I made for day 1 of the new meta. We'll probably have another ranked video coming out tomorrow or the next day. Thank you all for watching, and peace.